All right, cool. So what's up, guys? It's your boy Trippy Trav, Retro Picasso, Goosebumps Feller, whatever you want to call me. But today what I'm doing is I'm starting up a YouTube channel, and basically I'm just going to be reviewing Goosebumps books. I'll probably do some other reviews in the channel just to keep things fresh, like certain toys, vintage things, really anything that like deals with collectibles, books, things like that. But mainly what we're going to be focusing on is these books by R.L. Stine. And I'm sure the more that I do this, the more I'm going to get comfortable and the better these episodes are going to turn out. But for now, just bear with me. Like I said, I'm starting this all fresh. I don't know how far this channel is going to go. I don't know if anybody's even going to watch, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get into it. And today, what we're going to be reviewing is R.L. Stine's Welcome to Dead House. Let me go ahead and let you guys get a nice little view of the cover here. It's actually pretty cool. From what I'm seeing, it just shows an old withered house. If you pay attention, there's actually a man in the window of the house. It's either a man, a kid, whatever. I believe in the story, they seen a kid in the window. But I'm going to go ahead and read the back to you, kind of give you an idea of what the book's about in case you haven't read the book. So it says, Amanda and Josh think the old house they have just moved into is weird, spooky, possibly haunted. And the town of Dark Falls is pretty strange too. But their parents don't believe them. You'll get used to it, they say. Go out and make some friends. So Amanda and Josh do. But these new friends are not exactly what their parents had in mind, because they want to be friends forever. Pretty creepy, right? Yeah, so just another thing too, man. The smell of these books just brings me back to my childhood. I know it sounds weird, but like I collect sneakers too, and the smell of a fresh pair of sneakers is basically the same as smelling this book. It does something for me. I don't know, but yeah. So the book was pretty good. If I had to rate it through a 1 to 5, which I'll be using a 1 to 5 star scale to rate these books. And I'm going to put this book at a 4, actually. With it being book number 1, as you can see, it was a great start to the series. So basically, Amanda and Josh's family, their dad, he inherits a house through his great uncle, which he didn't even know he had a great uncle. So it's kind of weird, but whatever, you're getting a house, so who's not going to take the free house? But the house is in Dark Falls, so the family, they pack up, they move to Dark Falls, blah blah blah. As soon as they get to Dark Falls, their dog runs off, so they spend the majority of the time at the beginning of the book, hunting down their dog. And once they get settled in and stuff, they do meet some kids, and they notice that the kids are weird, and there's just something odd about them. And basically, everybody in the town, they're like dead but not dead. There was a factory or some kind of plant that I guess got messed up, and it leaked out a bunch of toxins in the town, and caused basically everybody to be living dead. So, and they have a weakness against light, which is like super weird. I guess darkness falls, they keep everything shaded or whatever. But throughout the book, just not much really happens, but it's enough to keep you entertained to where the story was good. Basically, the people in the town, they want this family, Amanda and Josh's family, to stay in Darkness Falls. Each year, they have to have a new family move into that house. So that way it, like, I don't know if it's like tradition or like what they're doing with that exactly, but each year they have to have somebody new move into the house, and then they convert them into ghouls. What I'm thinking that these people are ghouls or some kind of ghouls or whatever, but overall, you know, that doesn't happen. The family, they end up escaping Darkness Falls. They knock down a tree and the light destroys a bunch of kids, blah blah blah. But what I liked mostly was at the end of the book, as Amanda and Josh's family were leaving, they noticed that another family was pulling into the driveway of the house. So, like, they had already had this other family, you know, as like a plan B, I'm guessing, if things didn't work out. So, that's basically it. Like, I don't want to give you everything about the book because I want you to go read the book yourself. But I can tell you in a nutshell that it was a good book. So go and check it out. There's, you know, some creepy factors in there. You know, they keep you wondering sometimes about certain things. The ending, it was all right. I feel like there could have been the ending could have been a little better, but it's all right. But overall for the first book, I give it a 4-star. And but now I'm gonna check these comments and see if anybody's commented anything and has any questions about the book. So I'm just gonna give it a few minutes and let some people tune in and get some ideas and some input on this. But once again, you know, while we're waiting, I can go ahead and show you the cover. It's pretty solid. I mean, shit, I can even go in here and read you guys the first chapter for real, which I think I'll do that. It's Goosebumps, Welcome to Dead House, R.L. Stine. It's an Apple paperback, Scholastic ink. I don't own any of the rights to anything in this book. I'm basically just reviewing it, you know, so none of this is mine. This is all my opinions. It's for non-profit, you know. But I'll go ahead and read you guys the first chapter of this book, and hopefully next time you're out at your local bookstore, you can go ahead and pick this book up and read it yourselves. But bear with me, it's early, so I'm going to read this the best I can. If I stutter here or there, just bear with me, you know. But here we go. Josh and I hated our new house. Sure, it was big. It looked like a mansion compared to our old house. It was a tall red brick house with a sloping black roof and rows of windows framed by black shutters. It's so dark, I thought, studying it from the street. The whole house was covered in darkness, as if it were hiding in the shadows of the gnarled old trees and bent over it. It was the middle of July, but dead brown leaves blanketed the front yard. Our sneakers crunched over them as we trudged up the gravel driveway. Tall weeds poked up everywhere through the dead leaves. Thick clumps of weeds had completely overgrown an old flower bed beside the front porch. This house is creepy, I thought unhappily. Josh must have been thinking the same thing, looking up at the old house. We both groaned loudly. Mr. Dawes. So Mr. Dawes, he's the guy that I was telling you about. He actually told Amanda's father that they had a great uncle that left them the house. So Mr. Dawes. Mr. Dawes, the friendly young man from the local real estate office, stopped near the front walk and turned around. Everything okay? He asked, staring first at Josh, then at me with his crinkly blue eyes. Josh and Amanda aren't happy about moving, Dad explained, tucking his shirt tail in. Dad is a little overweight and his shirt always seems to be coming untucked. It's hard for kids, my mother added, smiling at Mr. Dawes, her hands shoved into her jeans pockets. as she continued up the front door. You know, leaving all their friends behind, moving to a strange new place. Strange is right, Josh said, shaking his head. This house is gross. Mr. Dawes chuckled. It's an old house, that's for sure, he said, patting Josh on the shoulders. It just needs some work, Josh, Dad said, smiling at Mr. Dawes. No one has lived in it for a while, so it'll take some fixing up. Look how big it is, Mom added, smoothing back her straight black hair and smiling at Josh. We'll have room for a den and maybe a rec room, too. You'd like that, wouldn't you, Amanda? I shrugged. I could breathe. A cold breeze made me shiver. It was actually a beautiful hot summer day, but the closer we got to the house, the colder I felt. I guess it was because of all the tall old trees. I was wearing white tennis shorts and a sleeveless blue t-shirt. It had been hot in the car, but now I was freezing. Maybe it'll be warmer in the house, I thought. How old are they, Mr. Dawes asked, Mom stepping onto the front porch. Amanda is 12, Mom answered, and Josh turned 11 last month. They look so much alike, Mr. Dawes told Mom. I couldn't decide if that was a compliment or not. I guess it's true. Josh and I are both tall and thin and have curly brown hair like Dad's and dark brown eyes. Everyone says that we have serious faces. I really want to go home, Josh said, his voice crackling. I hate this place. My brother is the most impatient kid in the world, and when he makes up his mind about something, that's it. He's a little spoiled. At least I think so. Whenever he makes a big fuss about something, he usually gets his way. We may look alike, but we're really not that similar. I'm a lot more patient than Josh is, a lot more sensible. Probably because I'm older and because I'm a girl. Josh had a hold of Dad's hand and was trying to pull him back to the car. Let's go. Come on, Dad, let's go. I knew this was one time Josh wouldn't get his way. We were moving to this house, no doubt about it. After all, the house was absolutely free. A great uncle of Dad's, a man we didn't even know, had died and left the house to Dad in his will. I'll never forget the look on Dad's face when he got the letter from the lawyer. He let out a loud whoop and began dancing around the living room. If somebody was to give me a free house, I'd probably be up dancing around the living room too, so, shout out to the dad. Josh and I thought he'd flipped over or something. My great Uncle Charles has left us a house in his will, Dad explained, reading this letter. It's in a town called Dark Falls. Huh? Josh and I cried, Where's Dark Falls? Dad shrugged. I don't remember your Uncle Charles, Mom said, moving behind Dad to read the letter over his shoulder. Neither do I admitted. But he must have been a great guy. Wow, this sounds like an incredible house. He grabs Mom's hand and began dancing happily with her across the living room. Dad sure was excited. He'd been looking for an excuse to quit his boring office job and devote all of his time to writing his career. This house, absolutely free, would be just the excuse needed. And now, a week later, here we are in Dark Falls, a 4-hour drive from our home, seeing our new house for the first time. We haven't even gone inside, and Josh was trying to drag Dad back to the car. Josh, stop pulling me, Dad snapped impatiently, trying to tug his hand out of Josh's grasp. Dad glanced helplessly at Mr. Dawes. I could see that he was embarrassed by how Josh was carrying on. I decided maybe I could help. Let go, Josh, I said quietly, grabbing Josh by the shoulders. We promised we'd give Dark Falls a chance, remember? I already gave it a chance, Josh whined, not letting go of Dad's hand. This house is old, ugly, and I hate it. You haven't even gone inside, Dad said angrily. Let's go in, Mr. Dawes urged, staring at Josh. I'm staying outside, Josh insisted. He can be really stubborn sometimes. I felt like as unhappy as Josh looked at this dark old house, but I'd never carry on the way Josh was. Josh, don't you want to pick up your own room, Mom asked. No, Josh muttered. He and I both glanced up to the second floor. There were 2 large bay windows side by side up there. They looked like 2 dark eyes staring back at us. How long have you lived in the house? How long have you lived in your present house? Mr. Dawes asked. Dad had to think for a second. About 14 years, he answered. The kids have lived there for their entire lives. Moving is always hard, Mr. Dawes said. Mr. Dawes said. Moving is always hard, Mr. Dawes said sympathetically. There we go. Couldn't get that word out. Turning his gaze on me. You know, Amanda, I moved here to Dark Falls just a few months ago. I didn't like it much either at first, but now I wouldn't live anywhere else. He winked at me. He had a cute dimple in his chin when he smiled. Let's go inside. It's really quite nice. You'll be surprised. All of us followed Mr. Dawes except Josh. Are there other kids on this block? Josh demanded. He made it sound more like a challenge than a question. Mr. Dawes nodded. The school's just 2 blocks away, he said, pointing up the street. See? Mom quickly cut in. A short walk to school. No more long bus rides every morning. I like the bus, Josh insisted. His mind was made up. He wasn't going to give my parents a break, even though we'd both promised to be open-minded about the move. I don't know what Josh thought he had to gain by being such a pain. I mean, Dad already had plenty to worry about. For one thing, he hadn't been able to sell our old house yet. I didn't like the idea of moving, but I knew that inheriting this big house was a great opportunity for us. We were so cramped in our little house. And once Dad managed to sell the old place, we wouldn't have to worry about all the money anymore. Josh should at least give it a chance, that's what I thought. Suddenly from our car at the front of the driveway, we heard Petey barking and howling, making a fuss. So Petey's their dog. He's the dog I was telling you about that, takes off, and they spend a little bit of the book, looking for their dog. They get to explore the town a little bit, so it gives you like an insight exactly like what's going on with with the town, and it describes some of the scenery as they're driving through looking for the dog. But like I said, so that's how that comes into play. But Petey is our dog, a white curly-haired terrier, cute as a button and usually well-behaved. He never minded being left in the car, but now he was yowling and yapping at full volume and scratching at the car window, desperate to get out. Petey, quiet, quiet, I shouted. Petey usually listened to me, but not this time. I'm going to let him out, Josh declared, and took off down the driveway towards the car. No, wait, Dad called, but I don't think Josh could hear him over Petey's wails. Might as well let the dog explore, Mr. Dawes said. It's going to be his house, too. A few seconds later, Petey came charging across the lawn, kicking up brown leaves, yipping excitedly as he ran up to us. He jumped on all of us as if he hadn't seen us in weeks, and then, our surprise, he started growling menacingly and barking at Mr. Dawes. This is a pretty long first chapter, actually. Petey, stop, Mom yelled. He's never done this, Dad said apologetically. Really, he's usually very friendly. He probably smelled something on me. Another dog, maybe, Mr. Dawes said, loosening his striped tie, looking wearily at our growling dog. Finally, Josh grabbed Petey around the middle and lifted him away from Mr. Dawes. Stop it, Petey, Josh scolded, holding the dog up close to his face so that way they were nose to nose. Mr. Dawes is our friend. Petey whimpered and licked Josh's face. After a short while, Josh set him back down on the ground. Petey looked up at Mr. Dawes, then at me, and then decided to go sniffing around the yard, letting his nose lead the way. Let's go inside, Mr. Dawes urged. Moving a hand through his short blonde hair, he unlocked the front door and pushed it open. Mr. Dawes held the screen door open for us. I started to follow my parents into the house. I'll stay out here with Petey, Josh insisted from the walk. Dad started to protest, but changed his mind. Okay, fine, he said, sighing and shaking his head. I'm not going to argue with you. Don't come in. You can live outside if you want. He sounded really exasperated. I want to stay with Petey, Josh said again, watching Petey nose his way through the dead flower bed. Another thing, too, the leaves are all dead. There's a dead flower bed. So far, if you don't pay attention, you're just reading through, you kind of don't notice things like this. But I'm pointing them out to pay attention. They say dead flower bed, things don't grow. This is a dark, it's dark falls, Things don't live in dark falls. And if they do, they don't live for long, Watching Petey nose his way through the dead flower bed. Mr. Dawes followed us into the hallway, gently closing the screen door behind him, giving Josh a final glance. He'll be fine, he said softly, smiling at Mom. He can be so stubborn sometimes, Mom said, apologetically. She peeked into the living room. I'm really sorry about Petey. I don't know what got into that dog. That's no problem. Let's start in the living room, Mr. Dawes said, leading the way. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by how spacious it is. Of course it needs work. He took us on a tour of everything in the house. I was beginning to get excited. The house was really kind of neat. There were so many rooms and so many closets, and my room was There were so many rooms and so many closets, and my room was huge, and it had its own bathroom and an old-fashioned window seat where I could sit at the window and look down at the street. I wish Josh had come inside with us. If he could see how great the house was inside, I knew he'd start to cheer up. I couldn't believe how many rooms there were. Even a finished attic filled with old furniture and stacks of old mysterious cartoons we could explore. We must have been inside for at least a half an hour. I didn't really keep track of the time. I think all three of us were feeling cheered up. Well, I think I've shown you everything, Mr. Dawes said, glancing at his watch. He led the way to the front door. Wait, I want to take one more look at my room, I told them excitedly. I started to look up the stairs, taking two of them at a time. I'll be down in a second. Hurry, dear. I'm sure Mr. Dawes has other appointments, Mom called after me. I reached the second floor landing and hurried down the narrow hallway and into my new room. Wow, I said aloud, and the words echoed faintly against the empty walls. It was so big, and I loved the bay window with the window seat. I walked over to it and peered out. Through the trees, I could see our car in the driveway, and beyond it, a house that looked a lot like ours across the street. I'm going to put my bed against that wall across from the window, I thought happily, and my desk can go over there. I have a room for a computer now. I took one more look at my closet, a long walk-in closet with a light in the ceiling, wide shelves against the back wall. I was heading to the door thinking about which of my posters I wanted to bring with me when I saw the boy. He stood in the doorway for just a second, and then he turned and disappeared down the hall. Now, these are all these creepy kids I was telling you about. So all these weird, creepy kids, they just start popping up, and it just keeps getting more creepy and more creepy throughout the book. Josh, I cried. Hey, come look. With a shock, I realized it wasn't Josh. For one thing, the boy had blonde hair. Hey, I called, and ran to the hallway, stopping just outside my bedroom door, looking both ways. Who's there? But the long hall was empty. All of the doors were closed. Whoa, Amanda, I said aloud. Was I seeing things? Mom and Dad were calling from downstairs. I took one last look down the dark corridor, then hurried in to rejoin them. Hey, Mr. Dawes, I called as I ran down the stairs. Is this house haunted? He chuckled. The question seemed to strike him funny. No, sorry, he said, looking at me with those crinkly blue eyes. No ghost included. A lot of old houses around here are said to be haunted, but I'm afraid this one isn't one of them. I thought I saw something, I said, feeling a little foolish. Probably just shadows, Mom said. With all the trees, this house is so dark. Why don't you run outside and tell Josh about the house, Dad suggested, tucking in the front of his shirt. Your mom and I have some things to talk over with Mr. Dawes. Yes, Master, I said with a little bow, and obediently ran to tell Josh all about what he had missed. Hey, Josh, I called eagerly, searching the yard. Josh! My heart sank. Josh and Petey were gone. Into chapter 1. So chapter 1 was pretty good. I think so myself. I feel like a lot happened in chapter 1. You know, they got the news of the house. They went and checked the house out. They got to explore it some. You know, they already seen a ghost kid. It already kind of shows how, you know, things are dead around the town and it's just not a lively town and things like that. But overall, like I said, this is a good book. And with me finishing up that chapter, I'm going to go ahead and finish up this episode. Like I said, this is my first episode. I'm going to upload this, see how it does. The next episode will be on the second book in the series. You can go to my YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like my channel, you know, so you'll get notified when I upload the next chapter. Share with your friends if you like Goosebumps. You can always message me if you have any questions, or if there's anything you want to know more about the books. I can do like smaller episodes where they're basically all filler, no killer, which I'll give you like insight on when the book was wrote, who did the cover arts, which I can't remember his name right off top, but I believe he's done more than like over 100 Goosebumps arts. So we'll have to do a small episode on him and talk about him and how cool all these arts are that he's putting out. But I appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with me while I read that chapter to you and talked to you about these books that I grew up on and these books that I absolutely love. Yeah, so don't be a stranger to the channel. Come and check me out, and you guys have a good day.